I drove over to a small town about 25 miles from here this morning, and just as I got outside of town, there was this amazing thick fog. And as strange as it is, I really like driving in the fog. I know that's bizarre, but now not snow and fog and all that kind of craziness, but just fog, because it was warmer weather today. And it was so beautiful. And this fog was one that you could see somewhat down the road, so it wasn't like thick where you couldn't even see where you were going. But it just, because the area between here and the next town over is really pretty hills and a little bit of winding road, it was just beautiful. Because it caused, you know how the fog does, it caused this mist over the trees and the hills, and things just look so beautifully different. And at the same time, fog can be somewhat intimidating. I know you've been around fog and you've driven through fog and you've walked in the fog and all the good stuff. And the thing that amazes me about fog is it is just a mist. It's a vapor. It's not an illusion. It's absolutely there, but it's not something you can grab with your hands. It's not something you can move. It's not something you, like with water, you could redirect the flow of it. Fog just happens and it's there. And then the sun comes out and basically burns it off, which is so interesting to me because sometimes the sun comes out and the fog stays a little while and then it turns really beautiful just while the sun is dissipating, heating up the fog and making it disappear. Which really leads me into this interesting thought I had this morning on my way to this other little town. The kind of fog I was driving in this morning, you could see the road in front of you. You could see a little ways down the road. It's a 4-lane highway. There's a large median in the middle. It's not like it was, scary, dangerous. There's not a whole lot of traffic on this road. And you can see down the road a little bit. You can see what's behind you. You can see what's coming. I had to turn off this main road and get gas. So when I turned, I could see oncoming traffic that was coming once it got out of some of that fog that was further away. And that was when it hit me, when it got really interesting to me. Because this kind of fog, as I said, you could see a little ways down the road. Not too far, but a little way. And then, of course, the fog would envelop everything in front and around and behind and that sort of thing. And it really hit me. Isn't that in some way what negative thoughts do? Isn't that how they descend and envelop? And you might be able to see the right now, but you don't necessarily recognize it or comprehend it, because sometimes negative thoughts get really, really intense and difficult and hard, and you struggle with them. At least I know I have. And this was the thing that was really striking to me. The road was still there. The road hadn't gone anywhere. I just couldn't see a long way down the road. I couldn't necessarily see where the light was. I knew it was there, but I couldn't see it as I was coming up to it. I knew it was there because I've traveled this road so many times. And I could see the road. I could see the road in front of me, and I could see the road behind me a little bit. And I know intuitively, because I've traveled this road, the twists and the turns and where this road goes. So it wasn't like a surprise or I was fearful at all. But negative thoughts descend, and even then, you know the road, you know the path, you know what God says, but those negative thoughts descend and they hide the path. Not literally, because the road's still there. God's path is still there. God's design and love and purpose for you is still there, but those negative thoughts descend and envelop you. And it's really, really hard to see the next thing. Then I start thinking about how we get foggy brain. When you haven't had enough sleep, or stuff is going on mentally or emotionally or physically, and you get this kind of fog over your brain, and you can't really think clearly. And sometimes the not thinking clearly is negative. And again, you're enveloped by this mist of negativity. And when I'm saying negativity, I'm saying, oh, your thoughts are, I can't do this right. I haven't done that right. This didn't work out. So they can be right here and right now, but they can also be future. Like, this is never going to work. I can't do this. My future is not good. I'm not going to survive. I'm not going to get the job. I'm not going to have the money. I'm not going to get well. And those negative thoughts are future thoughts. Now, here's where it gets very interesting to me. When that type of fog, mist, negativity envelops you, it's almost like an illusion, because you can't foretell the future. You can't see the future. You don't know what the future is. And the enemy doesn't know what the future is either. He has no idea what your future is. None. The enemy can only look at your past and see what's happened and use that past and twist it and manipulate it to try and make you think, oh, I know what the future's going to be. And he comes in and uses your voice. And when he talks to you with this negativity, he sounds just like you. So you believe it, of course, because we always believe ourselves. And that fog of negativity descends, and all of a sudden you're enveloped in this, it's never going to work. I can't do this. I'm not going to get there. Oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. And at the same time, it doesn't dawn on you, this is an illusion. This fog, this mist, it's an illusion. And then the sun, the S-O-N, comes in and burns off the fog. He burns off the mist. He burns off the negativity. And the way this happens is when you go back to his word and you use his word to get through the fog. Because his word says, Jeremiah 29:11, I know the plans I have for you, to prosper you, to give you hope and a future, not to harm you. And I'm probably butchering it because I'm just like off the cuff remembering some of it. But the thing is, the enemy tries to tell you he knows what your future is. He has no clue what your future is. You have no clue what your future is, which is actually so comforting, because the one that knows the future is the one that knows you intimately. He knows you inside and out. Go to Psalm 139, read through it. He literally knows you. He knew you before you were formed. He knew you in the womb. He knew you before you were born, and he knows you now, and he knows your future because he planned it for you. And we have the option, we get to have the choice of sticking with his plan and his future for us, or choosing to say, nah, that's okay. I'm going to do it my own way, which I have found never works out too well. That's just me. But I have found if I can stay on the road, even if I can't see very far up the road, if I stay on that path that he has, if I stay in his word that tells me where to go, not to look to the left, not to look to the right, but keep going forward and to walk in this path, this is the way, walk in it, then I don't really have all of this stress when this negative fog envelops me and descends on me. So let me just real quick talk about illusion, because fog is not an illusion. Fog is real. It's a thing. It's mist. It's water vapor. We know this. But what it does is it distorts your vision. It hides things. It makes things unseen that are there, so you can't clearly see. One of the definitions of illusion is a false appearance or deceptive impression of reality. Another one is a false or misleading perception or belief. And isn't that what the enemy is doing? Isn't that sometimes what we do to ourselves? We think we know what the future is. We think we know what's right in front of us. And when the reality actually is, God is the one that knows. God is the one that holds the future and the past. Reality is actually what God says it is, not what we see, because we live from the kingdom. And when you live from the kingdom, your reality is based on God and what He says your future is. No matter what the facts are, the earthly facts, the doctor's report, the bank account, no matter what the facts are, God's reality, God's truth overrides those facts every single time. And that's hard for us to believe, but it's true. And that is what we put our hope and future in, is God's reality, not the facts we think we see. Maybe this doesn't sound quite normal or sounds a little weird to you, which is totally fine. If you're a believer, maybe you haven't looked at it this way before. And if you're not a believer, maybe this isn't making a whole lot of sense. I mean, how in the world does God override the actual fact of your bank account or what the doctor says or where you are in life? And how does He even begin to, how is He bigger than that? And I totally get that, and I understand it, because it's taken a hot minute for me to figure some of this stuff out, and I am still learning, let me tell you. So if this doesn't sound quite like what you've heard before and what you've, believed or not believed or seen or whatever, then this next video that I'm going to pop up here may be something you want to take a look at, because it talks about who we are and what this whole being a believer thing is about and how this works out and what it looks like. And it kind of comes at it from a different direction maybe than you have considered in the past. So this might be something you want to just jump into the next video and see where it takes you, just in case I'm sounding like I'm saying crazy stuff like live from the kingdom and take God at His word and actually say, yeah, this is it. This is what I believe. And He said it. And it's actually the truth, even though it seems a little not quite in fairy tale and all of that. So yeah, that next video might be something you want to check out.